Hello and welcome to English Literature A-Level. It will be lovely to welcome you personally and share our enthusiasm as teachers and students for this subject, but unfortunately that's not the way it's going to be. So hopefully this will give you a flavour of that. So first of all, I just wanted to emphasise the fact that an enjoyment of reading is key to studying English literature, which may seem obvious to most of you, I'm sure. If you ask students, they'd say that this is an exciting course. We study a variety of different time periods, different genres. We look at poetry, we look at plays, we look at novels. And this is really a course for anyone who enjoys reading and analysing literature. And we get a chance to sit around and discuss that together. Because of that, I think most students would say that they enjoy the course because they get a chance to explore their own ideas and discover a little bit more about the world and themselves. Okay, so what does the course consist of? So when we're looking at the breakdown of the course, we can see that in Year 12 at AS level, we do 2 units. Unit 1 is prose and drama. It's a written exam. At the moment, this last year, we've studied 2 texts. The prose text is Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte, and the play is Dr. Faustus by Christopher Marlowe. So 2 very different texts. There's some variety that goes on there as well. The assessment objectives, as the exam board present them to us, really can be broken down for this particular unit into 3 things. We examine language, structure, form, and the way the writer presents meaning through those. And we look at context, the time, society, historical influences on the writer. And we also look at different critical opinions, and that is where the joy, I think, for me as a teacher comes from, because different critical opinions can be the different opinions in the room. And it's really lovely to hear students able to explore literature and share that with us. I learn just as much from them as they do from me sometimes. Unit 2 is the poetry unit, and that again is a written exam. So the whole of AS is examined externally. Section A, they analyse a named poem, and Section B, they compare the works of 2 poets. So the 2 poets we've studied for a few years now are Carol Ann Duffy, her collection called Meantime, and Philip Larkin's Wits and Weddings. Both of those texts, they go down very well with the students, they enjoy them, and they allow them to explore very different interpretations of the world around us and the way things influence the individual. So when we're looking at this, we are exploring the same assessment objectives. We're covering the same things as we did for Unit 1 with the inclusion of writing a comparison. So that's extending what they would have done for English literature GCSE, where they had to write a poetry comparison where they had to write a poetry comparison on the of Mice and Men paper on the second section of that. We obviously are teaching skill at a higher level here, but it's not something that they wouldn't have come across before. Looking forward to Year 13 at A2, we are covering 3 units in this assessment. The first one is poetry again, so it's pre-1900 poetry, and traditionally we've looked at Keats for this, and that's the first section of the written exam, and the second section is analysing unseen poems, and there will be a thematic link to that. And I generally find that at this stage in Year 13 that students really enjoy getting to grips with that section and showing the examiner just how much they've learnt during their time on the course. The Shakespeare paper is Unit 4. We usually do either The Tempest or Hamlet, and we have Section A as an extract question, and then Section B is an analytical essay, which focuses quite a lot on presenting an argument and context. So it's an interesting paper. Unit 5 is a prose study. This is the unit I'm responsible for, so I probably will wax lyrical about this a lot more. It's a non-examined assessment, what we used to call coursework, we now call an NEA. And for me, this is something that I feel is preparing students for whatever they go on to do if they're doing a university course afterwards, whether it's literature or any other course, because there's a lot more autonomy in this section. They are studying 2 novels. One of them we study in class, and the other is a novel that's chosen by the student themselves. Obviously, it has to fulfil certain criteria from the exam board, but really it just has to be something that can be analysed. So they would call it a novel of substance for it to be able to be analysed. Students also choose their area of study. So whatever they're interested in when they're reading the novels, they decide that they are going to do that for their coursework. And then they decide on their own title as well. So it's an opportunity for them to be very creative and to really showcase their talents at this point in the course. So what do students say? We usually at this point would have students there from Year 12 to tell you how they feel. And I'm sure that they could put it a lot better than I'm going to try to now. But really, I can't emphasise the love of books and the love of reading enough. I think that the course makes students enjoy that more, and I'll leave you with that thought when we get to the end of this. So these are some of the other things that they've said. There's such a fun, relaxed atmosphere in class. I enjoy everything about English literature A-level. We find ourselves discussing lots of things that you can't imagine talking about in school because they've arisen in the poems or the novels or the plays that we're looking at. And it's a very open environment. I love talking about books and finding meanings to things that I otherwise might not understand, and it gives you a new perspective and makes you look at the world in a different way. And I think those things are key because often when you're reading, you come across something you'd never experienced in life, or the opposite is true. It's something you have experienced and you think nobody else has. And there's something wonderfully reassuring about being able to talk about those things and to open yourself up to new ideas. I hope I'm giving you the impression that teachers are really enthusiastic and clearly enjoy what they do, because that generally is what students have told us when we've asked them about the course. I think it's useful also, I spoke to some Year 13 students about this, about how it prepares them for university or for what follows on. And we get a lot of students who want to carry on and do literature at university, but we also get students who feel that it's made them look at life in a different way and that's changed their direction for the future. And that is very much the case for the students this year. It's made them look at life in a more creative way. So really that gives you a snapshot of the course, of how myself, Mrs. G, and Mrs. Edwards and Miss White feel about it. We're the 3 teachers who teach it. I think of reading as a life skill. Our students are specialists in all sorts of other areas. We get students who are studying predominantly science subjects who decide that they like reading, so they want to study English literature as well. But no matter what they do in the future, I believe they'll always have that enjoyment of reading. And that's something that will carry them through life. So, if any of this has inspired you, it would be lovely to see you in our class. Don't hesitate to get in touch with me if you want to know any more about it. And I look forward to seeing you next year. Thank you.